Method acting. Two words that make directors drool, producers sweat, and co-stars deeply uncomfortable. It's a technique that gave us some of the most legendary performances in cinematic history, and some of the most unhinged on-set behavior. But how did this acting approach take over Hollywood? And has it been a gift or a curse? Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the madness of method acting. What is method acting anyway? First, let's clear up a misconception. Method acting doesn't mean staying in character 24/7 and making everybody's life miserable. It originated from the teachings of Russian theater director Konstantin Stanislavski, who emphasized emotional truth in performance. In the US, it was popularized by Lee Strasberg, Stella Adler, and Sanford Meisner in the mid-20th century. Their goal? To make acting less acting and more being. So, method acting is all about authenticity. Actors don't just play a role, they live it. Their goal? To make acting less acting and more being. Method acting is all about authenticity. Actors don't just play a role, they live it. Strasberg encouraged performers to tap into real-life memories and emotions to create a genuine connection with their characters. If a scene called for grief, an actor might recall a personal loss to evoke real tears. If a role demanded rage, they might channel an unresolved grudge. It's like emotional time travel, but instead of fixing past mistakes, you're using them to win an Oscar. Sounds intense, right? Well, that's because it is. Strasberg's method involved actors using personal experiences to fuel their performances, diving so deep into their roles that the line between reality and fiction blurred. Sounds great in theory, but in practice, it sometimes led to, well, let's say, interesting behavior. And this is where things get, let's say, questionable. Some actors take method acting to the extreme, staying in character off screen, refusing to answer their real names in Daniel Day-Lewis' case, learning to hunt, build canoes, and refuse modern medicine just to play a role. Christian Bale practically shapeshifts for his roles, while Jared Leto's Joker antics on the set of Suicide Squad, the dead rats, used condoms, and a whole lot of weird stuff made headlines for all the wrong reasons. So, the line between dedication and lunacy gets pretty thin, and Hollywood has more than a few stories of actors crossing that particular line. Let's look at some of the good, bad, and ugly of method acting. Method acting can sometimes feel like an elaborate excuse for actors to go off the deep end, but when done right, it produces some of the most legendary performances in film history. Marlon Brando in 1951's A Streetcar Named Desire was the first true Hollywood method actor, and his performance as Stanley Kowalski redefined screen acting. Before him, movie performances were often theatrical and stagey. Brando, however, mumbled, slouched, and became Stanley. The result? A performance so intense that audiences felt like they were intruding on real life. Critics called it a revelation, and Brando became the gold standard of acting overnight. His performance in The Godfather as well, where he mumbled, slouched, and stuffed his cheeks with cotton balls to create Vito Corleone's now iconic look. He made the character feel real, like an old-school mafia boss you could actually run into, assuming your neighborhood has a horse head surplus. There's also Robert De Niro in Raging Bull in 1980, where he transformed into Jake LaMotta in every possible way. He trained as a real boxer, fought in actual matches, and won some. And then he packed on 60 pounds to portray LaMotta in his later years. The result? One of the most intense performances ever put to screen, and a reminder that dramatic weight gain is a one-way ticket to Oscar nominations. In 2008, Heath Ledger's Joker was the stuff of nightmares, and his preparation for the role became the stuff of legend. He locked himself in a room for weeks, perfecting the voice, mannerisms, and the chaotic unpredictability. His commitment paid off. giving us a villain that wasn't just scary, but alive. And in doing so, he raised the bar for superhero movie performances forever. Daniel Day-Lewis brought that method game for 2007's There Will Be Blood, where he became ruthless oil man Daniel Plainview, staying in character for the entire shoot, speaking in that haunting voice even when he was off camera, something I think he also did in the movie Lincoln. He learned to use 19th century oil drilling tools, refused modern medical treatment when he got sick, and made cast members genuinely uncomfortable with his intensity. Where that's really ugly, the result is still a performance that is so powerful, it makes you feel like you too should start drinking other people's milkshakes. Sometimes method acting isn't about deep emotional truth. It's about actors making everyone around them miserable. Whether it's taking things way too far, putting themselves or others in danger, or just making the crew wonder if they accidentally signed up for a hostage situation. These performances prove that there's a very fine line between dedication and madness. And then there's Jared Leto, who heard about Heath Ledger's process for the Joker and said, "Hold my rat." To get into Joker's head, Leto reportedly sent co-stars dead pigs, used condoms, and a live rat because, that's totally what the Joker would do. The result? A performance that barely made it into the movie and was instantly forgotten. Turns out you don't need to terrorize your co-stars to play a convincing villain. And what about Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant? I mean, Leo wanted that Oscar so bad, and boy, he did earn it. He slept in animal carcasses, ate raw bison liver despite being a vegetarian, and subjected himself to freezing temperatures just to bring authenticity to his role as Hugh Glass. And let's be real, when CGI exists, maybe we don't need actors to risk food poisoning and hypothermia to get a good shot. And then Tom Hardy in 2008 to portray Britain's most violent prisoner, bulked up, using a diet of junk food and insane amounts of push-ups. He also spent time with the real-life Charles Bronson, who allegedly was so impressed that he shaved off his mustache and sent it to Hardy to wear. Yes, his actual mustache. That's the kind of method acting that does raise a lot of questions. Also, let's not forget Dustin Hoffman's commitment to realism that led to one of the most infamous method acting stories in Hollywood. To play an exhausted character in the 1976 movie Marathon Man, he stayed awake for 3 days straight. This led to co-star Laurence Olivier hitting him with the now iconic line, "My dear boy, why don't you just try acting?" A savage reminder that maybe, just maybe, pretending is good enough. Look, we love dedication, but sometimes method acting stops being about the art and starts being about the emergency room. These are performances that didn't just make sets unbearable, they put actors in actual danger, leading to lasting injuries, trauma, or in some cases, even loss of life. At this point, we have to ask, is it really worth it? For instance, for Gangs of New York, Daniel Day-Lewis took things to a painful extreme. Playing the ruthless Bale the Butcher, he refused to wear modern clothing, even between takes. And guess what? He caught pneumonia. Pneumonia. Why? Just because he wouldn't wear a warm coat, because it shouldn't have existed in the 1860s. Doctors had to step in and force him to take antibiotics because, shockingly, dying for a role isn't a great career move. Joaquin Phoenix lost 52 pounds for Joker in 2019, causing his ribs to become visible, and he avoided socializing with cast and crew to stay in the Joker's lonely mindset. Jim Carrey, on the other hand, practically became Andy Kaufman in Man on the Moon. Literally. He refused to respond to his real name, insisted on being in character 100% of the time, and even tormented Kaufman's real-life nemesis, Jerry the King Lawler, on set. Look, there's no denying that method acting has given us some of the greatest performances in cinema history. But does every role require it? Maybe not. Some of the best actors in the world, Meryl Streep, Anthony Hopkins and Denzel Washington deliver incredible performances without staying in character 24/7 or even traumatizing their co-stars. Imagine that. Method acting, when done right, brings out raw, immersive performances, but when it goes off the rails, it can become self-indulgent, even dangerous. At the end of the day, the best actors aren't the ones who suffer the most for their art. They're the ones who make us forget they're acting at all. So, what do you think? Is method acting an essential tool for great performances? Or has Hollywood taken it way too far? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, please do me a favor. Hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe to Muveematic for more movie madness. Until next time, go see a great movie. Peace.